Performer tonight. Please give me a warm welcome to Pat Sievert.
Good to be here. Good to be here, everybody. It's nice to be here. I went through something weird recently. I was almost the victim of identity theft. Not because I've been killing it so hard, someone tried to steal my life or anything. I got this email from my bank asking me if I had approved a $27 wire transfer to the Caribbean. I hadn't done that, so I got it stopped, but I felt really violated. Like someone out there had stolen my credit card number, and all they tried to do was take $27. Like, they could have hit me for a couple grand. They didn't put the effort in. I was like, what do they need with just $27 of my money in the Caribbean anyway? They gotta buy a UB40 box set with that? Plantains? I didn't know. I had to go through this terrible process of checking everything I bought with the bank. They want to make sure it's all legitimate purchases. And that got pretty embarrassing pretty quick. So they're like, all right, I see $13 at Arby's, is that you? I'm like, yeah, that was me. They're like, okay, what about $19 at the comic book store, was that you? I'm like, yeah, that was me. And they're like, okay, Mr. Sievert, here's a charge we're not sure about. It's another charge on the same day at Arby's. Yeah, that was me. That was Wednesday. I went twice. I'm like, all right, well, let's look at the next day. I see a charge at Taco Bell. You know that was me. There's a pattern emerging here. After that was over, I wanted to get my credit cards under control. Because, I have credit card debt. But I don't see that as a bad thing. It's not me being irresponsible. It's me placing a bet on myself and saying, let it ride. Month after month, let that ride. Some people tell me that's a bad way to do it. Some credit cards charge you 19% interest. I guess that's true, but that's still 81% living the dream. That math checks out. That's a solid B-. Take that any day. I had a performance review at my day job recently, and it went all right for the most part, except for my boss ended it with a really weird compliment. He said, don't take this the wrong way, but you are smarter than you look. And that's why I don't like roast comedy, you guys. You'll never see me on a roast battle show. The first things they're gonna say, not giving them the chance. It's hard to know what kind of vibe you give off, but I always assumed my vibe was kind of getting by. Someone's making the best of it, but apparently I've had dumb as shit energy. And nobody told me till I'm early 40s. I had to find it out the hard way. I had to get HR involved. I am in my 40s now, so I'm trying to take better care of myself. I went to the eye doctor recently. At the end of my exam, he was going through his charts and stuff, and he was like, so here's your new prescription. You don't need bifocals, but you will in this decade. And I was like, this decade? That's the most vague diagnosis I've ever got. That guy went to med school. Still gave himself a good 10-year window for my eyes going to totally fail. I wanted to prove him wrong. So, a lot can happen in this decade. I could get LASIK or die. But he was right in the end. I was like, all right, I got to get my eyes a little bit stronger. But, I could train my eyes. I could train my eyes so hard I'll become the Rocky of looking. Like Rocky would go in the meat locker and pound those slabs of beef. I'm just gonna stare at them. Just get my eyes like Stallone up in here. Because maybe me finding out I'm gonna need bifocals someday is like when they cut Michael Jordan from his high school basketball team. Like, that's what made him get great. I need to start using my eyes to their full potential. Like, I'll take up bird watching or something. You'll see me outside with no glasses. Oh, did you get contacts, Pat? Like, no, I'm training. There's no off season in bird watching. I have been going to the doctor a lot lately because don't do this, folks. I took like 7 years off from going to the doctor, and that is a tactical error. There's like no reason not to go. I just didn't feel like it. And when you drop that on like a new patient history form, they just have like more questions for you. Like, why didn't you have a primary care physician between 2015 and 2022? I didn't want one. Like, they don't accept that. Make you do a bunch of like tests and stuff. They wanted me to take a sleep study because they're worried I might have sleep apnea. Which, if you're not afflicted, that is when you stop breathing while you're asleep. That's bad. That was like news to me. I thought I was just being efficient. Like one of those new cars that shuts off at a red light. Like the motor doesn't need to run right now. I don't know. I noticed that they changed some things about going to the doctor now. Like, at least they changed it in like the 7 years I wasn't going. I have to fill out like this online form the night before my appointments now. It's for like updates to my health. I can like tell them things I want to make sure we talk about when we have the appointments. That all makes sense. That's good, you know. But there's one question on there, one section on there on like mental health that always tricks me up. So the first question is, how often per month do you feel hopeless? like, the first choice is never. Have you ever been to a meeting at work that could have been just an email? Like, it's not never. It's never choose that. Second choice is frequently. I feel like if it's frequently, that's a problem. I don't want to say that. So the only other choice is always. Well, that's even worse. So I guess frequently then. Then when I have the appointment, my doctor will at the end of it will go, okay, before you go, just one more thing. You said you feel hopeless frequently. Yeah, well, where's sometimes, my dude? We all have bad days occasionally. Or how about I get paid every 2 weeks. On day 12, it gets a little dark. I'd probably check that box every time. Just update your form. Other thing I had to work on health-wise is my blood pressure. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. So now I take medication for that. I use a blood pressure cup at home just a couple days a week to like monitor it. Lately, my blood pressure's been in like the normal range. So that's good. Everything's working the way it's supposed to work. But to make sure it doesn't suddenly get too low, I keep taking the medication, but I pay people to tell me things that might spike it. Like, I just want like a stranger to be like, sir, your carb has just declined. Or, I love you, I'm not in love with you. Just, if that doesn't work, I just take my car to the shop. Just to see what they have to say. Like, I had to get new brakes and rotors on my car recently, so at first I was freaking out about that, but I had the blood pressure cuff on. I was at 120/80, it was perfect. Usually when I need my car work done, I'll take it to the dealership where I bought it. This thing I don't like, where anytime I'm in there for service, someone from sales will come talk to me and they'll try to strong arm me in selling my car back to them, which I never want to do. But they're like, no, you'll get a new car, we'll buy this one back. But I don't like that logic. It's like, hey, you don't want to spend $1,200 in this repair, how about $30,000 loan? How's that sound? Gets you out the door today. Like, your car needs an oil change, it's 2020, Equinox doesn't, you know what to do. While we're on the subject of cars, I read a thing about Ralph Nader recently. Like, when he was going to expose like how dangerous certain cars were back in the 60s, the auto industry was like so afraid of what he was gonna say, they were trying to find ways to silence him. One thing they did, they paid women to try to seduce him so they could blackmail him with it later. But it never worked, because you always knew that's what they were there for. I love that level of self-awareness. Have an attractive woman talk to you out of nowhere, who sent you? This reeks of Pontiac. After that, I read that stuck with me. Now anytime an attractive woman talks to me out of nowhere, I'm like, do I look okay? Or am I about to blow the lid off some shit? When I'm not doing comedy, I like going to see movies. That's a big hobby for me. I love going to the movies. A couple of years ago, saw a really good movie, saw It Chapter 2. And normally I don't like horror movies, but I like that one, so I wanted to learn more about it. I remember reading articles when that movie came out, and there were people complaining about it because they said the character Pennywise the clown, he fat shames the character, and he's racist and he's homophobic. It's the demon clown that eats kids is not an ally? I don't think anybody should be racist or homophobic, but if Pennywise was real, he'd be the one person I would give a pass to. It's he's still got to eat people. The alternative is he's nice about it. Just imagine I've been captured by suddenly nice Pennywise. He's got me in his lair in the sewer. He's about to eat me. Before he does, Pat, you're handsome in your own way. Just get this over with. Just tell me we all float down here. That's what we all came here for. I feel one of my favorite movies doesn't get enough attention these days is The Purge. I love the Purge movies. If you've never seen those, you should check them out. They're really good. The basic plot is one day a year for 12 hours. All crime, including murder, is legal. And some people are on board. You can do whatever you want. Wouldn't that be great? All I tell them is, I do what I want now. Every day is purge day for me. I'll ring up 14 hours at self-checkout. Nobody stops me. If the purge was real and I had to celebrate, I know what I would do. I would build a deck. Yeah, I wouldn't get a permit, I got 12 hours. Let's build this deck. That's just smart. Some people be out there killing folks. I'm just making my house better. That's good use of my purge time. Now, the next day, I'd be hanging out on my splintery, uneven deck. The building inspector would come by and be like, this deck's not up to code. It's up to purge code. Yeah, but you must have made plans, you bought lumber. They're true, there's no law against going to Lowe's, get off my purge deck. Plus, if you've got a real problem with this, come back here in a year. I did buy a house a couple years ago. That was a big step in my life, because it was in my late 30s. I finally had a place of my own. I was really excited. It's really exciting because I saved up some money for a down payment. I lived with my parents for a couple years, which I was never very public about because it made laughter die down immediately. We laughed about the purge deck, and suddenly, so wait, that guy lives in his childhood bedroom. It's well, hold on, it's my brother's childhood bedroom. My room's a sewing room now. It's not living with my parents again in my 30s was terrible, because I got along with them, that was fine. Social life kind of took a hit. I couldn't meet someone, be hey, you want to come back to my place? And she'd be she'd be yeah, okay, well make sure it's cool with your mom too. And then the people who owned my house before me left behind a couple things I don't know how I feel about. They were big fans of lighthouses. So they left behind this big wooden lighthouse in my backyard, and one room is decked out in lighthouse wallpaper. And it's not even an elaborate one, it's just like 4 lighthouses repeated in a pattern. I think that's just like the bare minimum. Like, this is your favorite shit ever, but just these 4, that's all you need. But now I don't know if I need to get rid of that wallpaper or just lean into becoming a lighthouse guy. I've been a lot of weird things in my life. Never been a lighthouse guy. I don't even know where to start. Guess like step 1, learn about lighthouses. So I like get more into it. I'll invest some good like rain gear and an old-timey lantern. Walk around all hunched over like, I gotta light the beacon. Bring those sailors home. My friends are like trying to relate to me on it, but they won't get it. They're like, so you like lighthouses now? So what, you like that song, The Wreck of the Arbor Fitzgerald? I'll be like, no! That song's about a shipwreck, that's the opposite. Come correct in the lighthouse room. I did get a letter from the Census Bureau. That was like a first-time homework thing I didn't expect. I got this letter from the Census Bureau. They just wanted to like have me confirm a couple things from the census we all did a couple years ago. They asked me the same question like so many different ways. Like, they really weren't sure how many people lived in my house, so it started like, how many people live at this house? And I was like, just me. Next question, does anybody stay with you? Like, no, just me. Like, has anybody stayed with you in the last 6 months? Like, no, just me. Like, does anybody ever stop by and say, like, what are you trying to figure out here? How lonely my street is? Like, then, like, the next section was, like, demographic information to know, like, what kind of government services my neighborhood might need. First question there, are you legally blind? I was like, no, give me 10 years. All right, well, that's my time, everyone. Thanks a lot. Now, man, we've all been waiting to see it. It's his first time in Ann Arbor. Please give a warm welcome to Colin Quinn, everybody.